Welcome to East County Pathways. Today I'm very happy to have as my guest Betty Edgerton from the Mount Hood YMCA. I nearly said YWCA. When I came here, I came under false pretenses, thinking I was going to interview the executive director of the YWCA, never dreaming that a YMCA would have a women director. So let's talk about that. How long has this been, and why women directors in the YMCA?
The YMCA has been co-educational in its programs for a long time, and the natural progression to that is to have women in the program directors and women in management. So there are getting to be more and more women who are directors of branches and even directors of whole associations.
Now, do women have...
Hold it, just a minute. Now, this isn't right. Betty, this isn't your day.
It's not my
no,
day.
I'm sorry, but this is not your day. This is Arthur's day.
Is this Arthur's day?
That's right, and as you know, this is Arthur's day, and we're not going to do this show today. We're going to do community pathways, not the one that Arthur normally does. So can I ask you to step down? We're going to do a little chair. We need another chair up here. We've got some things that we want to do. And Arthur, if you got a cup of coffee or something there that you think you're...
Boy, I need something.
You need something. Well, coffee's all you're going to get, Arthur. So anyway, I want you to know that this is going to be a little different than you normally have.
It is.
Yeah,
well.
we're going to do this a little bit different, and we want you to know that we hope you're surprised.
Well, let's see. Am I surprised?
Are you surprised? All right, Arthur. We've got a lot of people, some that are from a long time in the past, and some that have been with you for a long time. And we want to bring those people in and kind of talk to you a little bit about things that have happened over the last 40 years.
What's happened?
Well, I don't know. We're going to find out. The first one I'd like to bring in is a young man that you've known through a service club connection for quite a while. And I'd like to have him come in right now, if he will. And let's just talk a little bit about those old days from way back when.
Those were the days, my friend. I thought
Bob
they'd never end.
Bob, have a seat right here and hook that mic up if you can, or at least get it to where you can hold it.
What do I do
Tell you
with
what we might do. Why don't you and I switch mics?
that? Well, I put that here. Is this,
Yeah, you can
will
do
that work?
That'd be just fine.
Okay.
What was your connection with Arthur?
Well, I've been neighbors with him for a little over 30 years, and I came into the Kiwanis Club shortly after it was organized, and I think he was a charter member.
I think I was, too.
Yeah, he was a charter member, and what, just out of curiosity, what did Arthur have to do with that local service club that started way back in the 50s?
Well, yeah, it must have been.
Yeah, must have
55,
been. Yeah.
55 or so.
54. Maybe it was 55. I don't know. It was before I got in it.
By a few months.
A few months,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Well, one of the stated purposes of Kiwanis is to give primacy to the spiritual over the material values of life, and I think Arthur has tried to do that. They wanted to get somebody who had been in the Kiwanis Club a long time and who could make a lot of nice comments about Arthur's role in the club. I think
Did he have a role in the club?
Well, I'm the 7th one they tried to get. So they're scraping the bottom of the barrel with me. No, seriously. No, Arthur's had a very fine role in the club. He's done a lot of work with one of the major committees on spiritual life. And he's used his club connections, I think, very constructively to promote his ecumenical ministry and I think promote ministerial cooperation in the mid-county area. One of the finest things he does for the club is to use his outstanding talents as a storyteller to tell stories, some of which have some basis and some of which don't.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Robert. I think that's important.
All of which are interesting, and I think especially noteworthy as the services he used to have at his church on Christmas, and he would tell the Christmas story in a variety of ways, which were always very compelling, and that was a fine service he did for the club and the community, and it made a deep impression on the club. Also, he's used his talents as a storyteller to come back and recount incidents of his travels in the Holy Land. And they're very personalized. He tells stories about the people he's met and the trips he's made into out-of-the-way places in the Holy Land, and tries to help the club and the community have a sort of different slant on the problems of that troubled area.
Because I was brought into the Kiwanis under false pretenses. They told me they were bringing in a bunch of rowdies and they needed somebody to kind of calm them down a little bit, so they needed a minister. So that was
that's not entirely true. I think when they brought him in, they thought he was a plumber. And that's still, he was a plumber at one time, and that's still his hobby.
yeah.
He does a lot of plumbing in his house. I don't know why he has to do so much, because it doesn't seem to last very long. But
A lot of the ministry is doing plumbing jobs too.
Yeah, I was going to say, Arthur, that I think that's probably true. He's still doing plumbing, but in a different ministry right now. What about his connection with the Kiwanis Club and Snowcap? Did he have a role there?
Yes. Well, of course, he's helped Snowcap by making facilities available in his church, and Snowcap has now grown to be one of the principal beneficiaries of the Kiwanis Club's fundraising efforts, and he's very active in that and uses his connections to promote our fundraising activities such as the pancake breakfast, and he bulldozes, coerces, and persuades members of his church to support that very handsomely.
Can you say?
Of course, it comes back to Snowcap anyhow.
Do you think he's really had much of an impact on those guys in Kiwanis?
Well, I don't think any of them are in jail, so I'd have to say yes.
Well, I think he's had a tremendous impact on the business people who are all the people, young and old, that were in that organization, and there's no question about that, Arthur, that you've had a significant impact, not only from the angle of your church, but also from the angle of a service club, of which there are a lot of different service clubs. I think that our people feel we were fortunate that this is the one that you joined. Bob, I want to thank you for being with us today. We're going to move on to our next visitor. Hope you can stay around. We're going to have a little get-together afterwards. If you can, we'd appreciate it if you'd stay here a little bit longer. Don't forget to unplug that thing before you leave, or you'll walk out with half the communications of Rogers Cable.
A good thought.
A good thought. And thank you very much for being with us today and expressing the appreciation from the members of the Kiwanis Club, Greater Southeast Kiwanis Club.
My pleasure.
Good to see you, Bob.
We have another guest that is out in the hallway waiting for his turn, and I'd like him to come through the door right now. Arthur, this is a gentleman you've known for a while, too.
Hello, Arthur.
Hello, Don.
Today we have with us Don Peterson. And Don, while you're kind of hooking that on, maybe you can start by giving us a little idea of what your association with this man is and for how long.
Well, it's been awfully close to 40 years.
Awfully close.
We both came into the Senate of Oregon at the same time, Arthur here in Portland and I out in Eastern Oregon, and we've been colleagues and good friends ever since.
That's super. And do you have association today? You still having that?
Oh, we still belong to the same presbytery.
Yeah,
Cascades.
we see each other
Cascades,
sometimes and then.
yeah.
And on a regular basis, or is this the first time you've seen him for a while?
Oh, I think I probably.
I don't
know. I see his wife oftener than I see him.
that's
I don't know
right.
whether that's the right thing to say or not, but
They meet at Symphony where
we
I
meet
don't
at Symphony.
go.
My wife and
If
What
he
would
came
you
to the
care-
Blazer game, he'd see me.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Blazer game.
Yeah, he'd see me there if he came.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, I take it then you both associated with the Blazers and with season tickets, or that's
No,
No, I
not
don't
that.
see him there either. But if he came there rather than Symphony, I would see him.
We'd see each other.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, that's
Yeah.
great. What in your 40 years approximately of having an association with this man, what do you think, or is there anything that you'd even consider that would be outstanding that Arthur? What characterizes this particular
Be
man?
temperate, Don.
Oh, I think of so many things when I think of Arthur.
Tell us some.
Well, I think of a builder, physical builder. He's a good carpenter, good craftsman, and I know that Savage Memorial Church has really benefited from that skill that he shared with them. But he's a builder of congregations, too. I think any pastor that can survive in a church for 40 years and still be giving leadership that's a pretty remarkable thing. Part of that is that, part of what contributes to that is that he is a good student. one of the things I've been aware about Arthur is he is almost constantly involved in some sort of continuing education, which sharpens his skills and enables him to do a good job being a pastor.
Continuing education can be more than just reading from books.
Oh yeah, he's actually gone back to school and submitted himself to the discipline of other people. It'd be kind of easy just to sit and read books, but it's a little bit different when you have to be accountable to people and you have to finish projects and things like that.
That's super. Arthur, how do you look at this man in your history of the last 40 years? What's your reflection on him?
On Don, he's one of the finest guys I ever knew. He's a great singer, incidentally.
Oh.
Musician. He's a Portland product. He has very effectively filled in both as pastor in quite a number of very good churches. He's worked in our Synod office. Don is just an exceptional guy, a very good friend. We don't see each other, but that doesn't mean our friendship hasn't lasted in many, many ways through the years. And we both have wives with the same name, both have good wives, and we are friends.
One of the reasons that he's here today is because you haven't and don't regularly see him. And we knew that he was a good friend, and that's why he's here today.
He's a good fisherman, too. That's something else.
Now you're telling me something I didn't know.
Didn't you? Oh, Arthur's
No, I didn't know that.
He is an excellent fisherman.
Is that right?
Yeah, Don McClure, old mutual friend, says you got to be smarter than the fish to catch them, and that's the reason I'm not a good fisherman. But Arthur is smarter than the fish, so he catches fish.
In fact, my secretary said to me about 11 o'clock today, Patty is her name, she said, I'm going out fishing with you tomorrow morning, and I had to talk her out of it because I don't want her to buy a license when the bed isn't very good, and I'm not sure it's good right now, but I said, wait a week or two and I'll take you out.
Do you think that the fact that he has perhaps a little better communication from above than some of the rest of us, that helps in his fishing at all?
I wouldn't want to give him credit for that.
No, you have to be more intelligent than the fish.
That's true.
Pretty hard.
That's true.
That's it.
Yeah.
Don, we appreciate your being here today and spending a little bit of time with us and with an old association that you two have had. We would like to have you stay afterwards for a little bit, and even though this show about 3 o'clock will be over today, that we hope that you'd stay and have a cup of coffee, and let's continue the association. With that, I'm going to bring another guest in, but I don't want you, Don, to walk off with that.
I'm not going to.
I have to remind each one of our guests of that. We have a gentleman that is going to come into the studio right now that goes back perhaps even longer than 40 years.
Holy cow!
That's got to tell the audience something when the man says, holy cow, that's got to say something. All right, I want to introduce you to Jim Caton. Jim, why the significance of this holy cow that we had?
That's Art's expression. He brought that from Canada with him.
Is that?
Yeah, he's yeah.
And now you tell me, how far back do you guys go?
Well, I'd put it about 50 years, Art, right?
Well, somewhere in there.
Yeah, oh, we don't like to say those kind of things, do we?
Like
how long?
25 maybe, or 30, or 22.
37? 1937?
Well, anyway, 37. No, let's see. Actually, 38.
All right.
All right, let's talk about that association. What was it?
Yeah, at that time, we were associated around a fellow by the name of Rudy. You remember Rudy?
Yes, Rudy, yes.
And do you remember the time I caught my hand in the saw and Rudy ran me up to the hospital and had an accident in front of the hospital?
Yes.
Yes, and a lot of other stories that we probably wouldn't...
He says, pray for me, Arthur.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun together. In this school, we've been in, let's see, 3 schools, I guess, together. Art's just ahead of me, all at 1 year ahead. And he preceded me out here to Oregon and prepared the way for me to get out here. And here I am, and love it.
Took me 20 years to find the church that would have them.
Do you still have an association? Do you see each other very often?
Yeah, we see each other quite often.
We're partners in some deals.
Yeah,
I'll have to tell you a story. You know, Jim was kind of a... he does some things, too. And we used to have a very pious fellow in the carpenter shop that we were at, and so one day Jim says, we're going to do something. So this fella, he was polishing up his tools at the end of the day, and we were behind the wood pile, and all at once This guy says, "The ground on which you stand is holy ground." And this guy dropped to his knees and started crossing himself. He was sure God was behind the woodpile.
Yeah, we've been a lot of
That's
things
the way
like
it
that.
is. Now,
Yeah,
Jim and I were roommates in college. We slept in the same bed. We had to put a plank in the middle to keep them sliding together and this type of thing. And we were in seminary together, and we've been...
His power of concentration is so good, and he'll deny this. I told the story on him before, but he denied it. We took turns in making dinner, and it was Art's turn. And Art's power of concentration is so great that he got involved in reading the newspaper, and he forgot to turn the pork chops over, and we had burnt pork chops. Now, Art will deny that, but it's the truth.
Now, this is back in college days.
This is college days, yeah.
We were
In
on
Nebraska.
a debating squad together, too.
Now, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
Hastings College.
Hastings
as
College,
I
right.
recall. And that's in Hastings, Nebraska, is it not?
Hastings, Nebraska,
You
right.
bet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were on a debate squad together, and I remember coming back one time from a debate squad in Kansas, and I said, "How would you guys like to stop over at the house? Lucy, my wife, will make dinner for us." And so Lucy made dinner, baked the ham, got the ham out, you know, and just had a great meal for us. And after the meal was over, they said, "That's the best ham I ever tasted. Where'd you get it?" Well, I said, "Fellas, you need to know the background of it. I have a little house out in the back. It has 3 holes in it. We no longer use the 3-holer, but we plugged up the 3-holers and built a smoker. And I hung that ham up in there and I smoked it because it wasn't quite the way I wanted it. And from then on, it was Caton's 3-hole ham, and it was delicious. It was good
Are we
stuff.
talking about the 3-holer? I think we're talking
Yes, we're talking about with the moon in the door.
All right, okay. Want to thank you very, very much for taking a little bit of time being with us today. Among our guests, please stay. And we're going to have a little coffee afterwards and a little bit more conversation. And so I hope you don't leave the studio and just stick around for a little bit if you can, Jim.
I'll be delighted.
Let me give you an Australian blessing that has to do with your 3-holer. May your chucks turn into emus, and may they kick your dunny down.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yes, I think I heard that just the other day, Arthur. We have another guest. I'd like to have him come in right now. And I think that here's another gentleman that you've known from your...
Oh, I don't know if I ever knew him or not. Hello, Howard.
This is Howard Dewey. No, this is Harold Kurtz.
Now, this is Howard Dewey.
This is Howard Dewey.
This
We're a
is
little out
Howard
of line
Dewey.
on my
Well, you're
schedule
out of
here, I can
line
tell you
here,
that.
right.
All right, Howard. What is the association, Arthur, while he's fixing that, tell me what's the association between you two. What is it?
You want me to tell?
Sure, you tell me what it is.
Oh, God, I don't know him.
Oh, I think I don't believe that.
Well, I can tell you when it first began.
I want to smoke him out.
Yeah, I bet he doesn't remember. It was a class at Lewis and Clark on the Bible in,
Oh,
I
is
think,
that-
1947. I
Yeah,
think.
that's probably true.
Yeah,
Now,
probably true.
You were a student
I was a student.
of Arthur's.
Uh-huh,
Is this the proper time to critique your former teacher?
Well, I tell you, he opened my eyes to the Bible. The first thing he taught was about the 2 versions of the creation in Genesis. And I had never heard of such a thing before. And it was very
You
clear.
bring me to a heresy talk pretty soon.
Right.
Go on, Howard.
But that was just the beginning. I think I got a B out of it, though. I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
But that wouldn't be Arthur's fault. He was an easy grader, as I remember.
Oh, he was an easy
He
grader.
was an easy grader.
And what is, over the years, the continued association? What has it been?
Well, I came back to Portland in 1962 and joined the church, Savage Memorial. My family, 3 children, my wife sang in the choir. And then in about 67, I think, we did a Freud in the Bible.
The Bible, Freud, and daily living.
That was it.
For 3 years, I guess.
For
wasn't
3
it?
years we did that.
Now, my notes, when the producers gave me notes on each of you folks, that was the thing that was mentioned was Freud in the Bible. What was that about? I
I'm
can
not sure.
surmise, but I'd rather not.
Well, we took Bible stories and tried to analyze them in terms of the feelings of the people and the relationships and how they got into the
Like
kinds of difficulties.
Adam, Eve, we talked about the woman you gave me, she made me do it, and this type of thing, and we saw the theological and psychological nuances of the biblical stories. And they used to use them in churches as an adult class. And we nearly went national, but then we didn't.
I think that was just an
Well,
idea
it made
we
us
had.
feel good. No, it was the station. They thought they did Lyndon Smith, they do us
Well, that's
too, and
right,
then
they did.
it didn't quite work out. But anyway, we had a good time together.
That's super. And this is something you did through the church, through Savage Memorial
No, it
Presbyterian
was
Church.
through the Portland Council of
Oh,
Churches.
Portland Council of Churches.
Yeah, it
I
was
see.
one of their programs. It was on Channel 8 and was part of their program for community services too.
So that
Came
was
on at 10 o'clock
Yeah, 10
Sunday
o'clock
morning.
Sunday morning at
Yeah.
10 o'clock, and you taped it at an earlier time, undoubtedly.
Right.
That's right.
So that was for the non-church goers.
But this guy is not only one of the finest guys, an excellent psychologist, and in years past, a great child psychologist. I think you've moved more into adult work now,
That's
but a
true.
great counselor. And he's been a great friend and counselor to me.
Thank you, Arthur.
I assume by that that he's a patient of yours, and or
He has a lot of patience with me. I'm not sure I've ever been on the couch when he's been working, but we're friends.
We have talked about people we have seen together. We've done some work in the past together.
Yeah, we've shared
marriage
patience.
couples. Yeah.
you have shared patience, but from a different aspect.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Both
true.
both going towards the same goal.
Right.
We want to thank you very much for being with us, Howard. And I'm going to say the same thing to you. I hate to keep repeating this, but I think, well, maybe I don't have to repeat this anymore. People can hear this in the other room. And so I'm not going to repeat it anymore. Those of you who are still to come on, I'm telling you for the last time that we hope that you can stay around for a little bit afterwards and we can chat a little bit more after the
Howard's
program.
good wife, Carolyn, is an excellent artist, selling all over the West Coast here. A very good
Oils.
friend, too.
Oils.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Good.
Anything.
Good.
She uses paintbrushes and hammers and chisels and spatulas and everything else in her painting.
Yeah, she does. A real variety.
So, okay, all right, thank you very much. And
Well,
don't
let's
forget
see
to
how-
All right,
let
I'll
us
see you in
remove
about-
let us remove that little thing or we'll disrupt the Rogers
I know, it'd be
cable.
okay if you took it with you.
all the way out the
I'm
door.
concerned.
Well, I'm almost afraid to announce who our next guest is going to be until I see him come through the door because we're a little out of order here right now according to my schedule.
Well, that's par with
So
you,
let's
Ted.
have our next guest come right through the door, and this is Marjorie. Marjorie, where you come right
Can I
up
stand
here?
with
Whoop.
this?
Can you get in there?
I think I ought to,
this
I'm
off
supposed
for
to.
me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think
okay.
I ought to give the ladies
I
a high
get-
time, Marge.
I love that, Arthur.
Have a seat. Now, I need to show this, and I'm going to put that right on there. Can you zero in on this? Does that show up very good? Yeah, not too
You
bad.
got your finger over my name. Be careful there. We are.
Now, I need to do it like this. Now, does that show up? Looks like pretty good. Can you read it? Okay.
Well, I can say it by heart.
Say it by heart.
Believe me.
All right.
This is the motto that hangs in the print room at Savage Memorial Church. Now, I've spent some very frustrating hours in
What
that
about print?
little room as a volunteer printer. And believe me, every time we walk through the door, each of us who prints says, Lord, help me to remember that nothing is going to happen to me today that you, Arthur, Leo, and I can't handle together. And it
think
saw
that's
us through a great deal.
That's beautiful. There's a special connection between you and Arthur.
We're family. Not genetically,
No,
maybe.
I understand.
But we're in the church family. And we came to the church in 1955. I really didn't realize what Arthur was going to mean to us in that time. Now, you know, a minister does as he did for us. He baptized my husband and our youngest daughter on the same day. He has baptized a granddaughter for us. He ordained me as a deacon and as an elder. And he has been with us when we've needed him. The extra mile things are the things that impress us about Arthur. And he does go that extra mile. He really does. My grandfather was a Presbyterian minister, and he died in Longview, Washington, and his service was on a Good Friday. We walked in the door, and there was Arthur. He was representative from the Synod and our family member at that time. He has sat with us during the critical hours of surgery for my husband, and then celebrated with us when the news was really good. My mother lived in Milwaukee. We received news when we were at the church at a meeting that her sister was dying. Arthur was at the meeting also, and he says, "I'm going with you so you can break the news to her, not on the telephone, but in person." This is beautiful, Arthur. This is just beautiful. These are the things, the extra mile things that Arthur does. This is our family experience, and I know this is multiplied by tens and tens and tens as the other families in the church welcome him into their family. Now, from the pulpit, he says to us, as a congregation family, that we are to be the hands, the feet, the heart of Christ in our world today. Then, daily he goes out and he gives us this example to follow, a loving example. And we thank you for this, Arthur.
Thank you.
And I must say, thank you for calling me a printer's angel instead of the other one.
I
You
spell
could go.
angel, D-E-G-I-L. Marge is a very dear friend, and a lot of what she says about me is true of her. But thanks for coming the extra couple miles here today, too, in this.
Well, believe me, it's a privilege and a pleasure.
I can't top that, so I was just wondering.
Marjorie, thank you there for that wonderful testimony on Arthur, and we do so appreciate it. You and I have a little something alike, because I too had a little problem back here a few years ago, and I know of what you're talking about with this man.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Don't go away.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Arthur, we're going to bring our next guest on, and this obviously is somebody that you've known a long, long time. Now,
Well, Virginia, I started it.
Yes, you really started something.
Virginia Younger is...
I began as a Lutheran, too, Virginia.
She is is not, I wouldn't say, she is representing Snowcap in a way, but I think she's doing more than that. She's representing a past of a long time of a direct involvement with him, and probably a little bit more unique involvement that's a little bit different than I think members of, for example, the church. It expands beyond that. What about it, Virginia? What is this association?
Well, we did have a good time starting Snowcap, didn't we?
We really did.
It started in 1966 that we really started to work on it. And it was a large task. And we opened our first office on the 2nd of March in 1967. Now, Arthur, I have here the first newsletter we ever put out. In a period from March to December, we put out 45 food boxes, 59 families supplied with clothing, 35 requests for furniture, and etc. And what do we do now? Almost $4,000, 4,000 people a month. That's right.
Well, Virginia, what was Arthur's involvement in all this back in those days?
Well, he worked to help getting it started. A great number of people worked at it, but he offered us space in his church. We had a little bit of space that we needed. And then we grew and we started to spread around like a puddle of molasses, and now we've got a great big area that he lets us use.
I suspect that he had a little selling problem to do with his members of his church before he let you have that.
Oh, I know, but I trusted Arthur to get through everything he wanted. He has such a way about him. And he is a compassionate man, and what we were dealing with were people that really needed help. And there was no other place in East County for them to go to get help. It, you know, it was a need that we had there, and is a need still, isn't it?
Of course, I'm a dictator, and I just told the church this was what we were going to do.
I don't believe that, Arthur.
No, I don't think so.
And he has never stopped that association from the time that it started, actually back probably even before 60. And I would suspect that probably the late 50s or early 60s, this came to the attention of the people in East Multnomah County, but it culminated really with Arthur's involvement, and particularly when Savage Memorial Presbyterian Church provided the quarters for Snowcap. Just real quickly, and I mean real quickly, what is Snowcap?
Well, Snowcap is a church community action agency. We're supported by 45 churches, and we get no government funding. We're also supported by individuals, service clubs, businesses, and when we have food drives, the schools pitch in and give us food. So we are able to make it very well with just community support.
You're strictly a social concerns community organization that Arthur here was one of the instigators, originators,
That's right.
involvers, and without question one of the shakers and movers of Snowcap, which affects us very, very
Yes.
heavily out here in East Multnomah County.
Right, right.
I just want to say this, Sedley. This lady here is Mrs. Snowcap. She has invested more time in the Snowcap program as a volunteer than anyone else, bar none, including Arthur Schwabe, and probably twice as much time. So it's a real privilege, and she's a lady I hold in very, very high esteem and respect.
Well, it sounds mutual to me.
Right. Well, I had the time. My husband traveled and was out of town a lot, and I had the time, so I just did it.
That's super.
And enjoyed it.
That's super. I'm grateful. I know that all of us in East Multnomah County are grateful, not necessarily just East Multnomah County, all the people involved are grateful to both of you for what you've done in Snowcap, because you made it more than something that was just temporary. It became a permanent organization that helps East Multnomah County, and both of you have done a tremendous job. I agree with what Arthur said. There's no question about it. You're the only person who's still there today that was there at the start of it. I want to thank you, Virginia, for being with us today. Once again, don't go away, and whatever you do, don't walk off with that microphone.
Oh. I might just have. Well, it just really has bit me.
Yeah. Well, that means
I might have to
you have
take my
more to
gloves
say
off.
here.
Let me see if I can, we've got a little snag right here, Virginia. Let me pinch on that thing there. There, that's part of it. Now, you get that? That's what happens with a knit sweater. You're going to have to re-knit a sweater here, I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
Thank you very much, Virginia. We do appreciate
Thank you,
your coming
Virginia.
today. And that represents another particular facet of your life, Arthur. You've got a lot of things that look at here, okay.
Well.
Now,
So here
Gosh, I had to look at him over the breakfast table today.
Right. I'm representing the breakfast gang. that
and
he
you
keeps
guys have
flying.
already been here together today.
We've been here together today.
Well,
early
yeah.
in the morning.
Over the satellite.
Yeah, Art's been involved in that for over 20 years. How many years has it been?
Well, maybe not that. I don't know.
I need to have,
I-
I'm going to stop you for just a second here and have you kind of hook that right up on here so we can
Okay.
chat for a few minutes.
All right.
Now, what's your association with this gentleman, Arthur?
Oh, golly.
Oh, golly.
We started together almost. I was a little ahead of him, but he was down at First Presbyterian Church in the old UP Church, and we were at Manuka together in various types of study situations. He went to be a missionary for many years. We kept in contact. And then as he came back, we've been warm friends. We see each other many, many times, and I think a great deal of mutual respect, and that's about it.
Yeah, but I remember one time I came back from Ethiopia and he gave me a hard time because my hair had turned white in the meantime, and I looked at him and said, well, at least I've got it.
Yeah. Now, why do I think that's funny?
I really don't know.
I don't either, Arthur. I shouldn't even be laughing at that. And your association today?
Well, I have, he has been a part of a breakfast group of Presbyterian ministers primarily every Thursday morning. A cluster group that's gone on for over 15 years at least. And he comes, he's very faithful, he's enthusiastic, even though he believes it's almost impossible to believe in God before 8 o'clock in the morning, but he's still there. What?
How I hate to get
I don't know whether we're putting on the bottom of the screen the names of our guests, but in case we're not, that I think we at least should introduce this gentleman. He's the only one
I really think so.
we haven't said what his name is. And he's a little late on our program.
I'm a little embarrassed. I've forgotten it, but could you introduce it?
This is Harold Kurtz, and Harold was supposed to be on a little bit earlier, but we didn't quite make the connection.
Well, I recognize him.
Yeah,
Now, when you say that you go back a long ways to school, what do you...
No, well, these were just training events that we were at together. It was a time when our presbytery used to bring in some outstanding speakers like John Bailey and some of the others, and we would go to those together, and we'd have great discussions. I always thought he was very conservative then, no longer.
Of course, he's trying to keep me conservative because he comes in these morning breakfasts sometimes singing the old revival songs from his Moody Bible Institute days just to keep us Presbyterians a little bit alive.
He considered you conservative? Did you consider Arthur as liberal?
No, we don't really use
We don't use those terms anymore.
Well, I was kind of wondering because that I was going to ask for a definition of what is liberal and what's conservative.
You better ask somebody else, not ministers.
Oh, that's super. And you still have a relationship then, obviously, more than the breakfast organization today?
In fact, I've been on his show a time or two, and so we've maintained that over the years. We share.
Harold is a great interpreter of mission throughout the world and has a national office with one of the organizations and Global Mission, and is actually executive director along with his ministry, and does a great job, and a great deal of respect for this guy.
And Harold is still involved with the missions today then, other than directly through his own church or what?
Yes, I'm with the Presbyterian Church. We have what we call the Presbyterian Frontier Fellowship, and I'm the executive director of that.
The only thing I won't do is fly with him. He's had that old plane go down several times, and that's enough for me.
And I take it, Arthur, he has you have an old plane?
No, he used to fly the mission.
I flew in Ethiopia for the mission for a time there, and ended up in a heap a couple times, but that's all right.
At least you had probably some flat land, Harold, in those days to...
Oh, the rocks in Ethiopia are kind of hard, and that's where we ended up. Sorry about that.
I think it's super. Your relationship now that you have today is still an ongoing thing, and that you two, as far as you're concerned, is obviously got to be important to both of you in your lifetimes. As I listen to you, I have to assume that that Arthur is picking up a great deal from you, because I happen to know that this man over here is very mission-oriented.
Yes, he is, and also very supportive of us as we meet together. He is our resident psychologist, a little bit like Lucy, you know, if we need any help, why, he's right there always.
The nickel up there.
Yeah, put the nickel in and you can get that. So we appreciate very much that input that he gives us in those Thursday mornings.
That he must have had some influence on you in your mission thinking.
Well, for example, last week I walked out, breakfast forgot to pay, and he paid for me.
That's a mission.
Yeah, that's right. That's a mission beyond the call of duty. We pick up the tab for someone.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, that's great. Want to thank you very much for
very nice to
being
be
with
here.
us today.
I appreciate all the honors. I think he deserved them all.
Well, this is kind of an honors day for him, and we think we just might have caught him a little bit by surprise.
It could be.
I think so. You know, these things are not easy to plan.
I don't want to show it too much, but
he had a young man by the name of Roger Clausen that is out in the hallway, and his wife that have kind of put this thing together with the help of some other people. And I need to tell you, without their help, we would never have made it. On the other hand, it took a lot of people to kind of keep quiet about this thing because they've known for a long time we were going to pull this thing off. We wanted to see what happened to Arthur when his mouth dropped, hopefully, as we stopped his show, because that's never happened before.
No, we've had a hard time stopping him on Thursday breakfast.
I don't think you stop his show very often. That's great. Thank you very much for coming. And
Good to see you, Harold.
stay around. Now we've got another guest coming in, Arthur. Hey, lovely lady.
Well,
Hi,
let's have a head start here.
Elaine Luckenbaugh, and his association with Arthur is, I take it, is through Head Start.
Yes, that's right. Arthur has always been real supportive of our program, and he has made us feel real welcome to be in the building at Head Start. And there's so many people in Head Start coming through there. There's teachers, and there's a speech clinician, there's family workers, there's our director comes through, and he always makes us feel real welcome to be there. And the families and children feel real welcome. Lots of times we have trails of children coming down the hallway, and he'll wave or he'll scoot to the side because we have lots of kids in the building. So
These Head Start people are really remarkable. You know, they work with children, a lot of them with emotional handicaps and things because of deprivation. They're always smiling, they're always understanding, and they give to these people new starts in life. I have the highest respect for them. This lady who heads it up here does a marvelous job with these children.
Well, that's one thing about Arthur. He's always pro Head Start. It's really nice to have someone so supportive of our program in the church, and we just really enjoy being there. We use the building to the max there. We have the classrooms, and we have parenting meetings, and we have parent functions where we have potlucks and things like that. So he's been real supportive.
Have to sometimes move them so I can have a Bible class.
Oh, I have to tell you, there's that one time, it was last year, and it was my first, I'll never forget, and where we accidentally set up our parent meeting in his, the lounge where he has his Bible study. And he comes in and he says, "Oh, you made coffee and everything for me." So we just moved right over, but he was real friendly about it. And today we were right next door to your Bible study, and he didn't come over and tell us to be quiet.
I almost did.
We were getting kind of loud, but anyway, we were right next door this morning. But
Arthur, what got Head Start? You had Snowcap and Savage Memorial Presbyterian Church. What brought about the connection with the Head Start?
Well, you know, Head Start needs to have some in-kind support and financing, and churches are able to do this. And we happen to have, when we build our Christian Ed unit, a classroom size like schools, and so it's very effectively can be used. We have the room. We have to share classes, and that creates some problems. Our teachers have to tear down, and they have to tear down, and so forth. But it's been, I think, almost since the start, we've had, I don't know, it must be near 20 years, 15 anyway, that we've had Head Start.
I was thinking 12. Now, I'm not sure.
No,
You
it's
would
more
know
than that. No, it's more than 12.
I've been around for like 7.
Yeah, but it's more than that.
Okay, well, that's good.
And I'm not sure how long. But, you know, we've never had any problems. We relate so well together, and it's just a marvelous relationship. And so... And of course, it's a program. You can see those children, they come in, and a year later they go out, and they're different children. You know, children do not know even what a telephone is and things like this, and some of the simple things in life, and these loving people, they share in their lives and give them that solid contact with reality of the life they're living. It's a beautiful thing.
The children that you have in your Head Start program, I happen to know the answer to this.
Okay.
But for any of our viewers who may not, how do you select, how do children get into Head Start program?
Well, first of all, our program is a federally funded program, and we have low-income families and also children with special needs. So we take applications in the spring and summer, and then towards September we have a selection process where we take the families that need Head Start the most.
See, Arthur obviously is an advocate of Head Start.
He sure is.
He had to be an advocate, or you wouldn't have a facility now to have Head Start
right.
in. So
That's
there's
right.
no question about that. Arthur, does your advocacy for Head Start go beyond the church? When we listen to we have to listen from the Oregon legislature, for example, or the federal government. Does your advocacy go beyond the local level where you've shown that you believe in it?
I've written a few letters to Mark Hatfield and Ron Wyden and others on behalf when funds were about to be cut. I even got as high as the president with a letter once in the last 6 years. So, you know, do some advocacy. because I think it's a great program, and I'm proud that the church is participating in this. It's the type of ministry in which a lot of people and community can share together in a very wholesome and productive way.
Really reflects on this man's personality. When you look at it, we have two social concerns program that really impact the people of East Multnomah County, and both of those programs we find a headquarters within that church. To me, that has to reflect upon his thinking, because without his leadership, his people in his church would not also have that kind of feeling.
I think that's really true, and I must say that Arthur has been very accommodating throughout the years. Our program has really changed. We started with using 2 classrooms, and then we had 3 for a while, and then we went back to 2, and now we're using 4 classrooms. We use that building so much, and I think it has been his supportive role.
Well, thank you.
Well, we appreciate being there.
I think it's great, and I want to thank you very, very much for being with us again. And I repeat again, don't leave.
Oh, I sure will.
Stay
It was
around
nice to be
afterwards,
here. Thank you.
And we're really appreciative of your good, kind words to this man that we knew were going to come anyway.
That's right.
Because we knew how you felt about it. But I think those things need to come out, particularly on this day of celebration for Arthur.
Well, she kept it a secret when I saw her this morning.
I think everybody's done a great job.
That's right. We've all been smiling around, I think.
I want to thank you very, very much for being here. And Arthur, we're going to move on. How come that's not fair, Arthur? You get all these people giving us hugs and everything.
That's the payoff.
We have a lady coming in now. I'm not sure we need an introduction or not.
I can kiss her. Boy, I'm telling you, this lady needs a medal. She lives with a hard guy to live with.
Now, is that true?
Well, sometimes, but it's very exciting.
Never a dull moment in the Schwabe family.
That's right, you get it.
That's great. Now, how long you guys been married?
45 years.
45 years.
You've been married 45 years? Well, I guess I have then, too.
And of the 45 years, how many have been the good ones?
Well, it's more than I could.
As you look at the years that you've gone through with Arthur, is there any way you could characterize any of the trials and tribulations? Is there anything that stands out that you feel you've had to accommodate yourself to his relationship to the church and his giving of himself to God and all the things that he believes in?
Well, that's an ongoing thing. He does give himself unstintingly to the work of the church. And I accept that. And, you know, I dedicated myself to that, too, so...
Choir director, bell choir director.
I was going to say, let's talk about your role. And Arthur get in here on this.
She even preached for me once or twice when I couldn't.
Is that right?
But it wasn't a howling success.
I wouldn't say that. I wrote the sermon.
So it was only the delivery that we might have a
she
problem.
put her part into it, too.
Oh, that's great.
We used to sing together and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I've been involved in much of the music of the church and teaching children.
Are you still involved in the music of the church?
I'm involved in handbell ringing.
You're a handbell ringer.
I'm the director of the handbell group.
Okay, handbell choir of the...
And a very good director, a very good bell choir.
I'm very pleased. I have an excellent group. They're just super.
And you, in all the time that you people are going through all of the building of the church and all of the things that were required starting literally from scratch, we also had a family.
Well, there were rather rough times. That was a struggle.
How rough?
Well, it seemed to be on call most of the time. When you live next door to the church, you're on call.
We had a house that leaked once. We had 26 pans under the leaks back in the early days. After the war, when they couldn't build houses, so they moved in an old house that was a kind of a historic house from 95th and Stark, and never got a new roof on it. And we used all the pans we had in our kitchen to catch the drips and so forth. So we had a lot of fun with that.
Do you have any regrets?
Well, I say those days living next to the church was a strain.
But tough times were a part of the growing.
We laugh about them now.
I wonder if, as I listen to you, I wonder if any of us have really had it different, that much different, as we started as young people trying to start, whether it was a church or whether it was a business. And I happen to know about your background in starting the church and many of your trials and tribulations. What about the boys? And you're raising those boys back in those days when you were having a tough time. That add to the struggle, obviously, did.
I don't think that they felt that when they were young. I think they pretty much accepted it.
We had a lot of time, family, and we did a lot of things. We've done a lot of travel. I just come back from Australia with one, my son, my older son, and we have a very good relationship across the family, and that's kind of great.
You were a very close family.
Many ways.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say you're a very close family?
Yes.
Ways.
And still are?
Yes, we
I
are.
think maybe this would be a good time to, you just stay where you are, and let's have some more folks come in that door about this time. Roger, let's bring in some more folks to kind of join us, just maybe around here and mill around a little bit. I think that's a good idea. Sure. Let's just come up here and say hello, and I'm going to introduce you to David.
Hi.
Son of, and is Paul here? No, Paul's not here. He didn't make it today. How about Judy? Grandchildren. We got anybody else that's here? Let's bring them all in.
Dave and I just did Australia.
Oh, look at here.
My golly.
Look at here. Hi, guys.
Here we are. Who are these? Well,
Valentine's Day.
oh, thank
Oh,
you.
my
Hey,
goodness
good
sakes.
to see you. And how are you, Monique?
Hi there.
I got all the other ladies, Judy.
How much time do we have left?
Good to see you. My golly.
10 minutes? Okay, good. Well, let's talk a little bit to the family. Particularly, I want to talk to David. David, what's your remembrance when you were growing up back in those old days with Dad, a minister, as you went through grade school and high school? I know I grew up with a couple of young people that were my age when I went through high school whose father was a minister, and some of the trials and tribulations. With any effect, what went on?
Oh, I don't really think so. I mean, there's always that discussion. I mean, you're always a slightly different because your father's a minister, but maybe they expect better moral behavior of you or something like that. But I think preachers' kids are known for being either one or the other. They're either hellraisers or very good, and I think I'm somewhere in between, maybe a little on the hell-raising side.
Why don't you introduce the members of this family right here? Let's have a little count off.
This is my daughter-in-law, Judy.
Judy?
And this is her children, our grandchildren, Chloe and Monique.
Chloe and Monique. And Monique is a French name, and Chloe, I think, is a Southern name.
Oh, it's a French name also.
French is? Chloe is French, too.
And there's
That's
a
very
perfume named Chloe.
What? I didn't hear that.
There's a perfume named Chloe, too.
Oh, there is. There's a perfume named Chloe, too. Well, I'll be darned.
It's
Now,
also a Bible name. Chloe is a Bible name.
But we remember the perfume easier than the biblical, I would assume. That I have to ask, I'm sorry Paul isn't here. Paul happened to graduate with my number 2 son, David Douglas. We were talking out in the hallway a little bit earlier about this. And as I remember, David, you said you graduated in 1962 from David Douglas.
Yeah.
And then you went in. What are you doing now? What kind of a life are you leading? Not good or bad, but professionally.
I'm a freelance technical writer over in West Portland, so I do a lot of work for high-tech firms. I did want to mention one story while I was
I want
out
you to
here.
mention. I want you to take this. I want you to tell any story you can tell about your dad.
This is just one short one.
No, don't make it short. Let's tell whatever you need to tell.
When I was about a 7th grader, there was a young man that came into Dad's study one day, and I don't know if he even remembers this, but he was apparently pretty down and out, and he'd come to the church to see if they'd give him any help. And my remembrance of him was he didn't look too good. He was kind of unkempt, and his clothes were not in very good shape. So Dad brings him over to the house and goes into my room, and he starts going through my closet. Oh. And he pulls out a pair of pants.
No,
He pulls out a pair of pants and a shirt. He says, "You're not wearing these, are you?" Well, I said, "I haven't worn them in quite a while." I kind of liked them. He says, "Well, you can do without them, can't you?" And I says, "Yes." And so I think he got a pair of socks and probably got some underwear too. And the last thing I saw of that guy is he was leaving the house in my clothes. So I figured that this was about 23 to 24 years ago, and so I decided today that that must have been the snow cap for Southeast Portland. Must have started out in my closet.
The origination of snow cap.
It's in my closet, right?
That's just great.
By the way, Dave is one of the finest technical writers around. This young lady up here, my daughter-in-law, is very active in drama and a very fine actress, has produced, has been a drama editor with Willamette Week and many, many other things. I'm proud of this whole gang here. They all have accomplished it. Eleanor, a piano teacher over the years, has taught many, many, I don't know how many hundreds of people she's taught through the years, and has produced some fine musicians. And, Chloe is a budding theologian. For a long time, she wouldn't even say amen after the end of a prayer. She said, "Oh, girl." She says, little girls need prayers, too.
Is that being a feminist, Chloe?
Oh, I just thought that they were talking about men, and I was a girl, and I didn't know what they were talking about, so I just thought it was "ah girl" for girls and "ah men" for boys.
Makes sense.
And Monique has a wit about her. She's going to be a comedian, I think. And so, you know, they're a great gang. Paul, who isn't here, incidentally, is also a technical writer. Dave is on his own. He works for Intel. They happen to be both working on the same project right now. Get along very well together, I presume.
You girls want to say anything about Grandpa at all? Do you have any comment about Grandpa? We're going to be wrapping this up now, and you just got a couple minutes left. If you got anything you want to say about Grandpa?
I think he's a really funny guy.
No, that's a good one. He's a really funny guy. Monique? No comment about Grandpa? No, not at all.
I want to say something.
You were next. I was going to hand this off to you.
Well, I want to say that I was really welcomed into this family, and it made me feel very good. My family lives in California, and I felt like this is my mom and dad, and that's a real good feeling to have about your in-laws. We all get along very well.
That's super.
And I feel like David's my brother, too.
That's super. I think we're just probably going to have to start thinking about closing off, and I'd like to bring our guests in, all the rest of them, if they would, come on in and join the crowd. Roger, that includes you too. You get in here, and your wife Amy. Let's everybody get in here, and we're going to not have any sadness or anything, because I think this is goodness.
Hi, Roger. I've known Roger since he was about this big. Baptized him as a child, and we've done, and now he's my boss now, chairman of personnel. So there's the way it goes, see?
We can't, I need to tell you that there was no way, Arthur, that we could bring in everybody that we wanted to bring. We had a 1-hour program that you normally have, and we had to do it selectively. We wished we could have brought in more. There were a lot of volunteers out there, believe me, who were more than willing to come in and give you a testimonial as to how they feel about you and what you've done for them individually and for the community. And so it's our kind of a way and the best we can to say thank you to you for being a super person and for being a leader in our community and the kind of person that I think maybe lots of us would aspire to be if it would be possible for us to be that way. So I just want you to know that a sincere thanks from all of your friends and from all the people in your church, members of the community, the service club, everything that you belong to, because you're the kind of a person that I just don't think that we're going to ever forget.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And, you know, the only thing I regret is that I couldn't turn around and interview you. Sed and I have
He has a peculiar way of turning us around at everybody. Notice with them, he's giving everybody all these good plaudits. So I want to thank you very much. And we're down to 1 minute. Arthur, you got any last little comments you want to make?
Well, maybe just one, and that is when I was back in New York 10 years ago, I've been 30 years in the church, and I was listening to Jane Heyer, who is the religious editor of the Washington Post, and she just happened to say, you know, because a minister is 30 years in the church isn't news, it just means no other church wants him. So sometimes these accomplishments, you know, they're just routine.
Arthur, in your
but
case,
I do it all over again.
In your case, I don't believe that. In your case, you didn't want to go anywhere else.
But it's good to have this bank of friends, and you know, this is worth more than a mint of money to have these people. And this is a worthwhile thing, to have the kinds of friends you have who enrich your life.
Okay,
And a
anybody
family
else? Last comment. You got about 10 seconds, I think, and we're just about wrapping that up.
I'm sure glad my wife was easy on me.
I couldn't draw her out. I couldn't draw her out. That's super. Now, I understand. If we have a little cup of coffee or something, and we have a little get-together out here? Good. Thank you much. We understand, and that's great. We want that. Now we're just going to talk.